Can you see what's wrong with this map? Do you see it? How about this map? Do you see it there? In this video, we're going to look at the Bakhmut area of operations, and I'm going to explain to you why these maps are telling you only half of the story. So stick around. But before we start, I wanted to recognize all the channel subscribers and thank you for your support. It's really appreciated. If you are new to the channel, today is your lucky day. So go ahead and hit that subscribe button and bell notification. Let's start. Like many other news organizations and channels, I have also used these available maps of Ukraine to discuss the ongoing battles, but I realized there was one major flaw in the analysis contained in many videos, including my own. And that flaw is that the maps are one-dimensional and do not show contour or elevations, which are a key factor in any battle and affect tactical options and decisions. It is an accepted military protocol to always try to hold a high ground as it provides better fields of view and concealment from enemy forces at lower elevations. And that is precisely why this map provides a better view of why the Russian forces have advanced in certain areas around Bakhmut and can give us an insight on what the Russian commanders are planning in the next phase on the attack on the city. Now that we can see the elevations, let's look at a few key points and their respective heights. Here we can see that the Russians control the M03 highway and how the road descends in elevation as it goes to the northwest. This road area is also much higher in elevation than the city of Bakhmut itself. This road and the farms and fields on either side are controlled by the Russians around these areas. The city of Bakhmut is essentially located in a valley with higher elevations to the west, south, and east, and it is in this eastern area where the M03 runs through that the Russians would have some advantage in line of sight for their artillery and mortar spotters. From this intersection of Highway M03 and H32 to the town center of Bakhmut is about 7 kilometers. This distance would allow Russian forces to use this height advantage and make hit-and-run tactics against Ukrainian forces, while allowing them to easily withdraw to the safer high ground if needed. In the last few days, the battle has continued to ebb and flow, with the Russians making an advance into the outskirts of the city, only to be repelled back by Ukrainian army units and then regrouping to make another attack. Different news sources and the Institute for the Study of War publish daily updates on the conditions on the ground. I have found that the ISW has some of the best objective reporting and provides an overall better coverage of the battle, as well as reporting on other frontline conditions and geopolitics in general. Let's look at an overview of the last few days. The Russian forces pushed towards Bakhmut from this direction along the Patricia Lumumby Street, as well as further south. Russian units were reported to have reached the outskirts of this residential neighborhood, and some sources indicated that the Russian units were able to penetrate several blocks. These forces in the residential area, however, appear to have been pushed back out of the city outskirts in the last 24 to 48 hours. Along the Patricia Lumumby Street, Russian forces attacked and occupied several manufacturing buildings and warehouses, included the Siniat plant that produces construction products, another factory or warehouse south which reportedly manufactures asphalt material, and a winery facility. These areas are also surrounded by woods and some open fields. To the north, there is a larger wooded forest area which was reported to have had a heavy firefight in which the Ukrainian army attacked a Russian garrison or patrol in the area. It is unclear if the firefight took place in this area or in this other smaller wooded area farther northwest. The reports do show that the Ukrainian intel had indicated the presence of a Russian squad-sized force of approximately 10 soldiers, but as the attack unfolded, the Ukrainian commander on the ground realized that the Russians actually had 30 or more troops along with a tank or armored vehicle as support. The Ukrainian forces then wisely withdrew to a safer position. The front lines, as reported on these maps, show that the Ukrainian army has also advanced east to the village of Zelenopilia all the way up to the highway M03, which could disrupt Russian forces trying to move up or down that road. In addition, it appears that Ukraine is now in control of these wooded areas northeast of Bakhmut, which also have some advantage due to their higher terrain elevations. The Russians did manage to blow up a key set of bridges to the north of Bakhmut, which could have short-term impact on Ukrainian troop movements, reinforcements, and supplies. As we can see from these maps, the Russians have used the higher ground elevations to the east and south effectively and have begun to make these probing attacks. In the north, the Russians have continued to advance, staying mostly to higher ground elevations, and have reached the village of Pihorodne, which has a small wooded area to its north, but otherwise surrounded by farmland and open fields. This advance is now in jeopardy of being completely cut off if the Ukrainians can attack north from Zelenopilia and from the northern area. The pincer movement created could cut off the Russian units and destroy them there. What this means overall is that the Russian forces are attempting to encircle Bakhmut while staying to these higher ground elevations and making some attacks from the east and south. The reports indicate that the Ukrainians are defending well and in most cases have repelled the attacks and even pushed the Russians back. The Russians and the Wagner Group continue to suffer casualties, while Ukraine has also likely suffered some losses as well. However, there has been few casualty numbers reported by Ukraine, and the losses of both sides are still not known. While the Russians hold most of this higher ground to the east and south of Bakhmut, military doctrine dictates that for an attack to be successful, the attacker must have a 3-to-1 ratio in superior numbers. And this gives the defenders in Bakhmut a definite advantage. It does not appear that the Russians have been able to muster the required superiority in numbers. So now you have a better picture of why the Russians are using certain areas to attack from, as they are favoring the higher terrain elevations. I hope this helps to better visualize the battle that is still unfolding. And as always, thank you for watching. If you like this video, hit the like button and leave a comment. I'll catch you on the next one.